I think it is now.
And there we go. Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Crosschain with Kanishk. And today I have a really, really special guest from one of my favorite ecosystems, Hyperliquid. And we'll be talking about a lot of cool things today pertaining to Hyperliquid, perps, equity perps, and just how the your on-chain name can be now recognizable in the Hyperliquid space, which is arguably the only space to be if you're in crypto right now. Everything else is just washed away. So, with that said, welcome, Tangle. It's an absolute pleasure to have you today. And would you be open to sharing a little bit about yourself with all our friends and families and everybody that's in every region that's listening to us today?
Hey, perfect. Well, thank you very much for having us on here. Yeah, Tangle, I've been a part of kind of in the crypto and blockchain ecosystem for quite a while. I started in my early days. I found Bitcoin back in like 2013 and was kind of sold on the vision and the idea pretty quick. And started doing a bunch of mining with Dogecoin at the time and variety of other stuff. So there was a real rocky ride between centralized exchanges, them rugging and mining pools rugging, and those were kind of the early days ones for me. But stuck around and just kept being very interested in what this whole space had to offer and just kind of the ethos behind it. So yeah, kind of got started to work for Sushi Swap in 2020, or sorry, 20. Where are we now? 2022, I think. 21. Oh, I'm losing track of time here with all these things. So, anyway, I started working for Sushi. We helped run community over there and did a lot of AMAs and whatnot. We had a lot of great shows back then. And then, made my way over to Layer Zero and Stargate, and now kind of helping a bunch of different projects. Or after that, I kind of helped a bunch of projects just kind of as a consultant and whatnot, and helping kind of smaller stage things get a little more bootstrapped, and have fallen with Hyperliquid names here as kind of helping out with BD growth and whatnot. And then I'm also pretty involved in Vancouver, where we've got a really thriving crypto community. And Bitcoin, crypto, blockchain, all this stuff is pretty predominant here. So we've got one of the longest running kind of crypto hacker clubhouses in the world called Decentral or Decontrol. And I'm pretty active there, help out with, we host like Ethereum Vancouver meetups every Thursday. And we host other kind of notable one-off events like birthday parties for, whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum or we've had hosted many other things as well. So pretty involved with all that. And if you want, if I see you're putting up DC, and it's DCTRL, and then put DCTRL.WTF. That's our that's our.
I will edit that right away. DCTRL.WTF.
Yeah, so you can find a little bit more about what we got going on over there. We are going to be moving to a new space. The current building is we've been there for 10 years, and kind of our claim to fame is that like Vitalik was there back in 2014 showing the white paper. So we've had a lot of notable people roll through there. So very fortunate and blessed to be able to be a part of that whole space. And it's just been great to be able to, meet other builders, meet other people interested in all this. And it really feels like, this whole idea behind community and being able to kind of, build reputation with each other and, be able to identify people, so it's, a lot of relevancy here with the things I like to get involved in. So,
I love that. That was honestly one of the best intros we've had here in a very, very long while. And thank you for sharing that. I feel as crypto evolves, it's very important to find places where we can find people like us. Because now the number of people who are coming into crypto are increasing with neobanks, with equity perps. It's going to increase even more. So it's important to identify where is actually value and where's noise. And I feel that decentral or decontrol, that's like a nice place to be. And a lot of the across team is also from Vancouver, and they've all talked about it to me. And even when we did our Vancouver offsite, it was brought up back then as well. But yeah, so yeah, sweet. Thank you for sharing that. What I want to understand more here is that since you've seen the sushi swap cycle, you've seen the layer zero target cycle. We've also seen that very, very closely, of course. And now you're in the Hyperliquid ecosystem. So since you've seen crypto have its iterations over time, what's one thing that attracted you the most towards just the Hyperliquid ecosystem, and then of course Hyperliquid names as one of the projects?
Yeah.
What made you switch, and what should our listeners get excited about as well?
Yeah. Well, earlier on there, you were mentioning some of the degens. They're saying, hey, hi to all the degens early on. And I think like in my kind of previous times here when I had a little more time and focus, it was a pretty active trader, or I really like to be anyways. Not always as successful as I'd like to be, but really leaned into kind of the whole, being able to, leverage perps, seeing how that all worked. And used a variety of different stuff, even from and I was always like a little bit sus on the centralized stuff, especially like after my history of thankfully only 4 centralized exchanges I've been a part of that have rugged. So just 4, pretty easy, pretty good.
Just for this is normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, with that, I was always looking at like things like Bitfinex, right? They'd had a hack and whatnot, but they were like offering good, decent trading performance and whatnot. But things like DYDX came along, GMX, and then when Hyperliquid came in, it was like, this is the experience we're looking for. So regardless of anything else, it was just this is the trading that we want to have. Even FTX, they offered a lot of like just the way that their trading experience was. It seemed like, hey, this is solid. But again, centralized entities, we know how this game plays out. So working towards all of this stuff that's trying to be a lot more aligned with kind of this ethos and early on stuff regarding like Bitcoin. And what I was kind of sold on in this whole vision is, how do we create some sort of decentralization and at least give us the performance that we're looking for? And that's where Hyperliquid was just like, okay, this is it. So yeah, first sold kind of on the whole hypercore and just that trading experience, and then now going to HyperEVM to allow for the DeFi stuff, which was just naturally kind of a perfect fit for me. So yeah, that just really drew us into this. So yeah, that was kind of the my story with all of that. And as we got into looking at, okay, what HyperEVM's coming along, what what's something that could be used here, and want to get it involved and get built. And of course we saw for quite a while, I can't remember when exactly it all came to life, but like Jeff.hl was on the timeline, so .hl, and we've been seeing people do this with every other ecosystem out there. .eth was popular, everybody was repping that across whether it was Twitter or wherever it was. And so that just made sense for us to be like, okay, wait a sec, like there's a name service and some some of the other people that were involved in or some of the people involved with Hyperliquid names, they're working on kind of like another name service that was a little more cross-chain and whatnot. And then this was just like, hey, you know what, we see the value to this ecosystem, we've realized the community behind it. And I mean, to be honest, like this whole airdrop that basically changed a lot of people's lives and empowered a lot of new builders to be able to say, hey, you know what, I can now focus on this ecosystem. And it's like a pretty cool way to bootstrap it too, right? And that's there is no VC funding. Like, that's so amazing. And so it allowed for new projects to spin up, to show up, and kind of definitely spin up all this really rad stuff. So yeah, there was just like so much alignment with all this. And name service is like a pretty crucial thing. It's something that like I think fits pretty naturally for myself and some of the other people involved in this, simply because it's we're connecting, we're connecting with people, we're showing who we are, what we're up to, and trying to help build community. And definitely really want to lean into this whole digital identity of the House of Finance.
Absolutely. So well put. I have so many threads to pull from the answer you gave here, and I'm going to go one by one through them.
Sure.
The first one is, you mentioned that a lot of degens are Hyperliquid aligned, and therefore they found their little home in the House of Finance, right? And it was wild to me that even before the first airdrop of Hyperliquid happened, the protocol had been alive for more than a year. So it had users, it had traction, it had the community. And then suddenly they made millionaires in one night, just because they executed so perfectly. In this, I'm going to compare it direct, because you mentioned FTX, so I'm going to compare it directly to Solana. It's for the longest time been regarded as the degen chain because it has a high throughput. And on that front, Do you think there was ever a project that could have achieved this level of success or this level of alignment with their own community, um, or even got close to Hyperliquid in a sense from Solana alone?
A little bit trickier to see that happen. You know, a lot of these projects, because they required VC funding, that's
Mm,
like a real, you know, or not even VC funding, but just even, you know, to have investors to begin with, right? And the fact
yeah,
that like, you know, Hyperliquid was, you know, bootstrapped literally from, you know, from Jeff, and kind of making this all happen and just believing in this vision and having the ability to do so, that really changes it. And I don't know of, you know, really too many other projects that have the ability to grab that traction without, you know, a massive amount of capital that needs to be used for bootstrapping. So I think that in itself is like pretty hard to achieve. I don't know that I haven't really seen that in the Solana ecosystem too much.
mm,
You've always kind of got that overhead and overhang, which, you know, doesn't always, like, it's great for bootstrapping, it's great to get a good product out, but that changes your kind of your user base and your investor base and your, you know, alignment within your communities and whatnot. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think it'd be pretty tough for them to, you know, to come out. But don't get me wrong, I love Solana. We've got a great, actually, we have a very, I'll just give a shout out to the Solana community here, Solana Vancouver in here in the city, and even the super team crew.
yeah.
Yeah, they're doing great work as well. So I, you know, I have nothing against Solana. I'm, you know, an active user of Solana as well. Yeah, I even have a seeker. I even got the seeker too. So
Yeah.
yeah. Had a seeker and a saga. So yeah, not to, you know, get too down the rabbit hole with that, but it's just all of
Sure.
these ecosystems. In my mind, it's all complementary. They're here to, you
Okay.
know, help each other, and they have different uses, different, you know, different
Yeah.
use cases and whatnot. So yeah, Hyperliquid is just like this performant machine for
Yeah.
Hypercore, is designed for, you know, perps and for, you know, having high throughput and making that all work too. It's, yeah, to me, it's just like, this is purpose built, purpose use, where, you know, Solana is a lot more general use too, right? You can do everything you want on it in one chain, and that's one approach. And, you know, maybe that's the way to do it. But yeah, I think we have yet to see it. But I mean, Hyperliquid is just taking the cake on a lot of this, on the things that it's focused on, and we're seeing it really take off. So
Absolutely. No, no, I completely agree with you here. And I feel a lot of the design that went into Hyperliquid was also inspired and somewhere corrected by mistakes that happened in Solana ecosystem, because people did try making perps there for the longest time.
mhm.
Even in Cosmos, DYDX, they tried making perps. They had one of the best experiences of that time. And then, Hyperliquid just wins. What I want to know here, now that we've mentioned so many projects and ecosystems, is, of course, Hyperliquid won. They have been winning for the last more than a year now, actually. But is there a second best in the race here that you'd like to talk about? Because there's so many contenders here, right? Is the second best even close to Hyperliquid? Is
I
also
don't
what I
know.
want to know.
Yeah, I don't know if really about the, you know, second best stuff. I mean, that's tricky because like some of these are just more. They're now also, you know, singular focused on certain things.
Yeah,
You know, we did see these kind of, you know, we saw Lighter and we saw Aster. You know, those two things kind of come up. So I guess those are probably the most notable
yeah,
that I could mention right now. You know, we saw a few things kind of happen with Solana, and are trying to make it happen there too. But again, like with things like Aster, I mean, that's not really my ecosystem, you know, or is I wanted to lean into that as much.
yeah,
You know, even Lighter. I mean, Lighter's interesting from you know, from kind of a technical standpoint.
yeah.
I like what's happening there at EVM. You know, we're Ethereum. You know, I like to be Ethereum aligned and whatnot
Is
as
your
well.
line? Yeah,
So I do see some kind of you know, something cool there. But yeah, just as far as like performance, liquidity, you know, applications that are getting built, like just the way that it's just has this momentum behind it, I think is really hard to say like who is the second or who else has like a notable thing. You
yeah.
know, maybe I'll just say Lighter at this point, you know, and to
Yeah.
try and put that together. But it's really special what Hyperliquid has got going on,
Yeah.
the people that it's interested and attracted, and you know, kind of even seeing like, you know, we don't have, you know, VC investment, and but yet there's like some, you know, larger, you
Yeah.
know, venture capitalists that are, you know, starting to look at Hyperliquid and starting to say, hey, how do we actually help this ecosystem, and starting from zero instead of like, oh, starting with our allocation and how we have to like, you know, manage that. So I
So
find
true.
that to be quite fascinating as well. So
Absolutely.
yeah, hopefully that kind of answers the, I don't know, second best, but
It absolutely does. Absolutely does. And it's like, I feel every ecosystem, every chain for that matter, I've seen has a few basic components to it that need to exist. It starts with the basic decks. It used to have NFTs involved, but now people are kind of icky about it. Some ecosystems have their NFTs, some don't anymore. Then you obviously need to have like cross-chain integration into it, which is where a cross kind of comes in.
Mhm.
So we pick and choose the kind of chains that we want to work with, because once you add a chain to a cross, it's going to stay there. So
Mhm.
we can't work with every chain because that's just bandwidth intensive. But we love and appreciate every chain that we are a part of. And then now I've also noticed that in this long realm of products that need to exist in a chain ecosystem for the chain ecosystem to succeed, perp is literally the number one thing people want. Um, Now, whether they made the chain for perp dexes or they did not make the chain for perp dexes, it doesn't matter anymore. If the chain is fast, we want a perp dex on top of it. Um, my favorite example of this used to be Mega Eats GTE. I think it stood for Great Trading Experience, but now it's kind of spun off into its own app chain, um, which which takes me to the next segment of this live stream, where I want to learn more about um, builder codes in Hyperliquid, because you made something, people loved it, and it works. Now, Hypercore, as you mentioned, stays very, very glued to the perp trading experience itself. What most people also don't know is that if you deposit directly into Hypercore, you will deposit into the app Hyperliquid, and you can start trading that right then and right there.
Mhm.
And we at Across also made sure that this direct deposit flow stays very, very quick and very easy for people to work with. But do you think builder codes at Hyperliquid was a huge unlock? Do you think it enabled the community in a way without builder codes would not have been possible?
Yeah. So first, I'll preface with I'm not a doctor, no, so not a dev. But what I do see and what I do hear is that like this builder codes is like a very big unlock for them. To be able to say, hey, how can we, move, moving capital, moving revenue around, and actually like unlock things for the protocols. So I can remember for the longest time, everybody was saying, when builder codes, when precompiles. I kept hearing this over and over and over again from devs. So finally, it's great to see these things kind of coming to life, and
Yeah,
people being excited about it. So I think it is a cool unlock, and it allows for kind of this newer primitive that maybe makes it easier for applications and easier for protocols to make this happen, and just being able to tie directly into hypercore in so many different ways is like a pretty special thing. So yeah, I don't know, I think overall, yeah, it's a big win.
for sure. Um, and now I also feel with builder codes, it has evolved like the HyperEVM and Hyperliquid ecosystem. It has evolved beyond just perp trading, which is very region centric. And it is kind of compared to gambling. For some people, it is. For some people, it isn't. That's what I let the viewer or the listener decide here. But I also want to say that with builder codes, we now have liquid staking, which is kinetic. We now have products like Hyperbeat, which is, I think, just a
Mhm.
deposit lending borrowing vault. We now have products, we have mobile app experiences living on top of Hyperliquid, like Dreamcash, that you can just have on your phone and you can just use like an application, because we all have mobile phones. Not all of us carry a laptop everywhere where we go in the day, right? Um, so I feel you're right. Like builder codes are fun, and it's also nice to see who's doing how good in terms of being a Hyperliquid contributor with these builder codes. Um, on that front, how do you feel about the adoption of HL names? You mentioned that Jeff.hl had just popped up on the timeline, and that was a clear indication that this is the direction to tend into. Everybody in the Across team also rocks a .hl name. As you can see, Aiden just popped up. There we go. We've all got our HL names. But I'd love to understand from you, how do you feel about the adoption? How do you see the growth here as well? And any voices in the community that you want to highlight as we move forward here?
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty happy with this, with the adoption that we've had here. So, I mean, I've kind of lost after we hit 10,000 names minted. I kind of like stopped keeping track. I'm like, that's amazing. We've hit 10,000 names. I want to say, I don't know, maybe we're at 11,000, 12,000. I've honestly lost track. Should know
Yeah.
that metric. I really should. But to me, that was just a major milestone, and that was like, okay, yeah, we've, this is we've secured something here. So that's been amazing. And then just to see people continuously repping that across the timeline, so people on Twitter constantly rocking .hls. That's also really, really fantastic. We've got I think around 40 applications have integrated with .hl. So whether name resolution or like you guys with the cross, like this is amazing how now you can type in your address, your ENS, or your .hl. So that's just like another. And again, this here helps people with like especially when you're like going to other addresses and whatnot. And if you're trying to move things around, it's like these name kind of unique identifiers just make it easier for people. And, it also gives you that sense of identity too. So we've been pretty fascinated, pretty happy with like, how this is actually, how these integrations have gone. And like, we've tried to make it as easy as possible for people. We've got, great documentation that's, offering like our REST API to like make it to integrate really easy. I don't know. I guess like you guys, it happened. You guys did it so fast. I couldn't believe. Like, I mean, sometimes I send this over, and like, again, not a doctor, so I don't know what it takes to like to put this in place. But just to see that it went so fast from you guys and other builders that I've seen too, it's just I'm fascinated with how quickly these things happen. So shout out to our devs too for making it as streamlined as possible. To make this happen. And we're really happy with it. And I mean, we've been trying to do more things that we can for for our ecosystem, for the community around it. We have a bunch of things kind of planned. And I guess like the most latest thing we released, I guess last week, losing track of time here. I think it was last week, but we have like referral codes now. So everybody's .hl is currently a ref code. So if you want to if somebody is going to use your ref code as your HL name, you will then, we've got it set up so that it's like a 25% kickback to the referrer and 10% off for the new minter. So that applies to all names. You don't have to like sign up and get a weird ref link or do it. It's just automatically by default. If somebody uses your name, that's all built in. And so we've got it set up for you to go and claim your rewards from all this. So that's like I don't know. I think we're really trying to like say, how can we keep the community involved, and how do we keep people, and reward people too? Like, how do we make them a part of this and feel like they are, that they can be kind of involved too here. So that's our latest thing. And then I guess to kind of spin off of that and to kind of help on the application side. So not only for just like individuals, but for applications too. We've got the kind of the builder program as well. So that's where we can literally have it set up so you can mint directly within an application. So if let's say a new user is coming onboarded through whatever, some sort of app, and that's their first point of contact, they can all like through that app they would be able to we've got it's all set up here for people to integrate an experience where you can mint directly from your app. So rather than sending someone out of the application to then come to our website, and then they lose that user flow through onboarding through your website or through your application, that can be all integrated within that. And then of course that kind of ties directly in with the referral codes too. So like now the applications can start having that a little bit of extra revenue generation through minting a name. So and again, discount from for the user that's minting. So there's just, I think, a really cool flow. And I don't think I guess I should look further into SNS to see if like there's other apps that have been doing that, but I don't think I've seen that with like ENS where they're doing any kind of referral type thing. And I think this is a great way to just like continue this whole like community first kind of aspect. Like I this is I think it's a pretty cool feature that we've offered, and I'm really excited to see what people will do with this, and how once this takes off again. And sure, crypto's a little bit down right now and everybody's depressed and metals have taken us over, but I think the metals are kind of starting to fall off now. But when people get back and get more excited about things, I'm really excited to see how what this can offer, and just with applications doing integrating this and seeing what that can do for them as well. So we haven't really publicly announced that all that stuff is live and has been sitting there in our docs for a little bit, but I think next week we're planning to put that out. So a little bit of alpha for any applications looking to integrate this. So we'll be a little more public about that, but you heard it here first.
That's actually music to our ears. And I want to echo that sentiment because internally, when we got in touch and we decided, hey, let's add HL names to our
Mhm.
app as a first class citizen so that when I want to send money to somebody on Hyperliquid or just in general, I can use their Hyperliquid name, their HL name as the resolver, and then just move forward from there. I'm not even kidding that we just put up a message in the engineering chat and the engineers were like, fuck yeah, we want to do this. We like this feature. This is exactly what we want.
Perfect.
So that's and like obviously our team is very Hyperliquid and inclined, but I've never seen them get so excited about something so quickly. And it turned out you're right. They had already seen the docs and they were like, adding this takes less than a day. We can just do it. And on that note, I want to also quickly just show everybody that this is the across application. Whenever you want to send money to somebody, now you don't even need to copy their wallet address or anything. If you just have their Hyperliquid name, you can just go Kanishk.hl, for example, and it immediately resolves to my name on the blockchain. So, or like I see Benny's in the chat. He just, you can just resolve it to his ENS, and now you can send money to Benny, and it's literally that simple now. Um, and yeah, like I remember we were using this as a feature during testing our products as well. And now it's just so easy. Hey, can you just send me $5? I don't have to ask for wallet addresses anymore. I don't have to ask for any kind of information when it regards to like a public address. And I can just send money so easily, which, echoes your sentiment of saying that we've just made lives easier and it's just more trustable now with Hyperliquid names and just making it a better app experience for everybody, not just us. So yeah, that's thank you. That was actually really fun. I want to understand more. When you mentioned that there's going to be a 10% discount for the user, and
Mhm.
then there's going to be a 25% kickback for the person who uses the referral code, right?
Yeah,
Um,
for the referrer. So if Kanishk.hl, if you're giving that to somebody else, then when they mint or mint, then you get that 25% kickback.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And all the documentation and integration specs are going live next week. You mentioned.
They're already live, but we're going to make it a little more public. We'll kind of we'll do a little bit more of a marketing push on that. So we kind of had that planned for next week. And I said, hey, is it all right if I kind of let it out right now? So like I said,
Yeah.
it's been in the docs. And so the people that are looking for it and they know where to hunt for, they can, they'll find it.
Yeah.
And so you can, obviously you can find our docs, just hlnames.xyz. That's our main website. And then the docs are right on the main page there. There's a little nice document image. Yeah. And so we've got the whole Git book there for everybody.
Nice. Nice. No, that's amazing. Sweet. Moving forward here, um, as you mentioned that crypto is down, people tend to get really, really bearish in periods like these, and metals had taken over for like the majority of last 2 weeks, and then equity perps had taken over for the majority of like the week before that.
Mhm.
So how do you view and how do you feel as somebody who's so deeply integrated into the Hyperliquid system ecosystem? How do you feel and think about us as a crypto ecosystem moving away from just crypto tokens or just coins to now trading real world stocks as well? Do you think it's bullish? Do you think it's bearish? How do you think people are in general reacting and talking about it?
Yeah, I think overall it's bullish, right? Because it's just giving more access to markets that people want. Straight up. Like this brings in new blood as well. People
Yeah.
that say, "Hey, wait a sec, like I can now trade these things 24/7." Maybe the markets aren't as, you're not seeing as much action in evenings and weekends and whatnot. But the fact that you have that ability to do that, you have things like leverage with your perps, right? You actually have access to leverage. I was talking to a guy today that was like, "Oh man, I didn't get a chance to like sell my metals." He wanted to go off and sell whatever he had. And he's like, "Well, I've just been busy and I haven't been able to get out to, go do that." I'm like, "Well, why didn't you just hedge on Hyperliquid?" Right? And he's like, "Wow, come on, man, like you can do this," right? So it's a really cool primitive for that even, but just the ability to access these kind of markets that are what, that's what traditional people are used to. That's what, all these institutions have been using and trading, like to be able to bring that on chain and show like the power of blockchain. And then to say, hey, wait a sec, this is decentralized. Like nobody can stop this. I don't have to like worry about my broker rugging me or doing whatever in that aspect. These are all accessible. And there's so many different front ends that you can access it too. Like I find that really cool how, you can see like in the Hyperliquid, in the trading app, you can see, oh, this is like this perp from whichever protocol, right? And so then you can go to those protocols directly. You can do it through the front end, and then you can even do it through other apps too that are aggregating all this stuff. So it's really beautiful to see all of these things come together. And I don't know, I think like whatever, bring the assets on chain. Let's go. Maybe that's where they should have been to begin with, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, some people might say with stocks, I get like equities is a little bit different, but like stocks, they're concerned like, oh, well, there's, how are we worried about like North Korea or, these other sanctioned countries like having influence on these, on these equities. If you don't offer like voting shares for it, and this is like, then it doesn't really matter, right? Is why I look at it, right? It's just price exposure. And that's what 99% of people want out of all this is price exposure. So like, think about all these mailers that you get from like the stocks or the equities that you hold, and you're like, you just throw them in the bin, right? Like nobody cares. Nobody wants to vote on that stuff. And nor does your, anyway. So this is where people just want the price exposure. And this is where perps are a beautiful mechanism for this to help keep the prices in check, keep, funding rates and everything that are, this magical kind of mechanism that allows people access to these equities that maybe they don't have the ability to, right? And have leverage and everything else. So I think it's a really fascinating tool. So bring all the equities on chain. And then maybe that's the way that, maybe by doing that, we also start getting people interested in, what, these other, native assets, as we like to call it, right? So, now people are looking at Hype, they're looking at Bitcoin, they're looking at ETH, they're looking at Solana, right? And they'll be able to access those things because they have their capital within the ecosystem, and it's on chain rather than, okay, I got to go buy an ETF that's, held by issued by whoever, held by my broker. And, that's just not, that's not the future that I was hoping for. I don't believe in, I don't want to have custody, or I don't want a custodian of my assets. I want to hold custody of my stuff. And whether that's custody of my price exposure on a perp, I want to be able to have control of that versus anyone else. So yeah, I think we're trending in a really great direction for that.
Yeah. I actually agree with a lot of that, because I remember back in the day when you wanted to buy a stock or like a set of stocks, you could either go to a mutual fund broker, or you can call another broker and then be like, hey, buy this for me at this price, and then do it for me, and I'll wire you the money. What the hell? No. I can just go to Hyperliquid and do it. And even in cases where the broker's trying to butter you up and tell you, hey, actually, no, you got to buy this price share and you got to buy that share or that stock. We've all seen Wolf of Wall Street. We all know what these brokers do, right? So it's very easy now for me to just look at the price action and be like, sure, take my money. I'll bet on this. And you're absolutely right, that this is changing the way we've looked at trading in general, that give me the price exposure, give me the funds, and I will maintain the custody of my own assets and positions. I do not need to be reliant on a third party to do that for me. And it's also pretty cool because this is what blockchains were made for. It was this, and everything else is like secondary to it, because the more exposure we give to the financial aspects of the world, the better it is for everybody. Because let's be real, we've also seen some really bad applications on like blockchains in general. And I'm not talking about HyperEVM at this point in time. I'm talking about others. And we've seen them just die out with time. But this is the first time I feel something has broken out of the crypto Twitter bubble and be mentioned at the World Economic Forum as well. So that was pretty amazing. Who was that? Was that the CEO of Coinbase? Somebody?
Yeah, I think it was or Circle. Or I think it was Jeremy Allaire. I think he had mentioned it. So yeah, that's Circle. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And there's been a number of these kind of outlets that I had, would never imagine are saying, putting the words hyper and liquid together, those two words, like it's just what we're hearing, like people that have no business speaking about those words, to speak about this stuff, they're saying it, right? They're starting to become interested. And there was like a really notable one that I can't remember which segment this was from, but it was like, what is the underlying of a Hyperliquid? And like that was just, oh man, such a great soundbite and such a great meme. Yeah, that one really, it was just like, wow, these people are even saying, like these boomers that have no idea about any of this stuff, they're hearing it. And,
Yeah.
even, I have some older friends that are, kind of in their, much older than me, but they are, traditional brokers, and they're hearing about this and they're saying, hey, yes, we have our eyes on this. We actually own the asset. We are, excited about where this is headed, and, see how powerful this is. That it just, hearing it in these circles is just like absolutely incredible, that it's gaining it, and it's trying to do what it's trying to do its vision here. It's trying to house all finance. Like, it's just that easy, like, what is the total addressable market? All of it.
All of it. Every asset, every
Mhm.
metal, everything out there is
Mhm.
the total addressable market for
Mhm.
Hyperliquid.
Yeah.
And this actually is a very funny thing because it just literally happened to me yesterday. And I have to share this story with you. Um, I'm sitting, it's like what, 4, 5 in the night for me or something. And I'm just sitting, I'm just doing my thing. Suddenly my phone goes off and it's my friend somewhere in Canada going, hey man, I want to learn more about finance and how do you do finance on the blockchain? I have this app. Do you know if this is a scammy app or not? And he just sends me the link to Hyperliquid. And I'm like, dude, no, that's not scammy. That's not scammy. You can just go, you can connect your wallet and then move forward. And then it spiraled off into, okay, what is a wallet actually? And I'm like, oh my God, okay, send me a Google Meet link. It's time. It's
Yeah.
time. I do your christening. Let me bring you over to this side of the world where things move a lot faster and a lot better.
Mhm.
Um, and this literally happened to me yesterday. I still have to respond to him, but that's happening. That's literally happening. And on that front, I also want to understand that for the longest time, we've seen, as you mentioned, the boomers look at crypto and be like, oh no, that's where you gamble. That's not a real thing. It's not
Mhm.
something we respect. And even as an engineer, I felt that when I tell my family, hey, I work in blockchain crypto, and they're like, oh really, why, you couldn't find a real job? That used to happen to me so much, to a point where now I'm like, hey, I build on Ethereum, and they're like, okay, that's nice. So acceptance is coming.
Mhm.
Do you see that from your point of view as well? And where would you place your team, your ecosystem, and just your world in this acceptance realm of things?
Yeah, I think we are seeing that acceptance. Whether mass adoption isn't here yet, I don't think we're anywhere close to that. Definitely, not where I thought when I first started hearing about, you know, Bitcoin, for example. Yeah, I remember I was like, wiring some money to, I can't remember where the hell it was, but saying like, oh, you guys aren't going to have a job in like 10 years. No, it didn't happen. Like there's, we're still seeing the banks and whatnot there. So as far as as far as mass adoption, it just hasn't quite hit there yet. But acceptance, 100%. We are seeing acceptance happening. We've got, like I say, even these, kind of the boomers that are saying, well, okay, there's something here. We're seeing like, ETFs that are happening, right? I think that was a big unlock for people, that they were like, okay, we see that there is acceptance for this. This is happening on, tradable markets that we're used to. And so that's been I think that was a big unlock there too. But most people I speak to now, it's not like this, this isn't like a repulsive thing for them anymore. It is very much, it's very much, they are open to it. They're seeing,
Yeah.
okay, well, this is still sticking around. They heard about it, whether it was 4 years ago or 8 years ago or whichever cycle they, heard it from the recent peaks. But the fact that it's still
Mhm.
here, is definitely keeping them, uh, you know, keeping them interested. And the fact that like we're able to say, yes, we work in crypto, or I work in blockchain, or I work in these things, they're like, okay, there's some sort of ecosystem happening here, and we're able to keep going with it. So yeah, definitely acceptance on that side. And then from, for us and what we're seeing, yeah, the fact that like people rocking HLs is, all across other, all across the timelines. It's
Yeah.
fascinating to see. And, it's not just about, Hyperliquid names, but it's really about saying, okay, showcasing that the Hyperliquid ecosystem is really what it is, and that's what we're aimed for, right? Is how do we, help, we need the marketing agency. So we're just one part of the marketing arm of Hyperliquid, right? So every time people see the .hl, and that's what I mentioned to people too, it's like, oh, you see .hl on the timeline? Yeah, like Hyperliquid, like Hyperliquid, here it is. So yeah, I think that even that acceptance too, the fact that like even within the ecosystem, within crypto itself and blockchain, people that realize like, oh yeah, Hyperliquid is a contender. It's here to stay. It's it's starting to make its way with like Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, and Hyperliquid. Like that's kind of what I hear. Like there's some of these other chains that are above it. I don't hear those anymore, which is great. Or people are like, oh man, then we're leaving those alone. Yeah, we're just seeing some really great stuff coming out of this ecosystem, and really happy about that.
I mean, I'll speak from the bridge perspective. Hyperliquid's native bridge has been on the top of DeFi Llama since like the last 13 or 14 months. So it's pretty clear that adoption's there, interest is there, and now the volume's there as well. Because it kind of knocked us off the first position, but that's okay. We like the ecosystem. We'll take the second spot here. And even on that front, I also want to bring up a community question that was spammed to me the second I posted about the stream of ours last night. The question was that there's a lot of speculation around the season 3 airdrop. We don't know much about the timelines. We don't know much about what's happening here when it comes to like the season 3 stuff. But we'd love to understand from you what your expectations are, what your information is, and anything you can tell the community here that's just so eagerly waiting for the season 3 stuff and even the season 2 stuff at this point to happen. Any alpha is fine, and if you'd want to just dodge this question off, that's fine too. But
yeah, honestly, I wish I had more insight into season 3, if it's going to happen, how it's going to happen. I'm like, to me, season 2, like the main one that took place here, I mean, that bootstrapped so much of the community already and has like got what it needed. So like I think it's pretty tricky to like put out another one, and I know that there's the hope and dream, everybody's still trying to go with that, but like part of me is like I want that stuff to be over, because I want to see us having natural organic use. And I think we're still seeing a lot of that, just because this is, if you are going to do these sorts of activities, these financial stuff, it's going to happen here, right? And there's just a lot of innovation that is taking place, and yeah, I'm feeling like if it does happen, I hope it's I hope it's like it hits the right places and it hits the right people. We do see a lot of like farming from other points programs and whatnot that do become an issue and kind of are unfavorable for the ecosystem. And yeah, I don't know. I wish I had some alpha with all of that. I don't. Yeah, because I'm sure there's other people that do. But yeah, that's all.
Thank you. There, so. Had I not asked you this, they would have literally come for me with pitchforks in their hands because everybody that's Hyperliquid aligned wants to know more about it. And if we don't share much about it, they get impatient, and that's fine. I understand why. But I think you handled this gracefully. And we're almost at the end here, but I actually did find the tweet that talks more about the affiliate program and the related Gitbook, as you mentioned. So for anybody who wants to get their .hl name, like all of us at Across did, like Tangle did, you also get 10% off when you use somebody's referral, and the referral giver gets 25% off of the mint, so kickback. So yeah, go ahead, check it out, click on this link, explore, learn more, and if you have any questions, you can ping us, or you can ping Tangle as well. Sir, with this, we're nearing the end of our stream. Would you like to share any closing words or anything for the listeners, the community, the Hyperliquid fanboys, or just your friends in general?
Yeah, so I wish my camera was working. I think I'm blurred right now, which I don't know what's going on here. Yeah, some sort of internet issue or whatnot, but I do apologize for that in advance. I am smiling and giving thumbs up at this time. So no, I just wanted to say thank you guys first and foremost for having us on here and showcasing all of this stuff too, and actually being very exciting and excited and acceptant of the Hyperliquid ecosystem first and foremost. Yeah. And it's wonderful to see more and more applications just embracing it and saying, hey, we see the value of being here. We want to be here, and we want to help kind of grow this ecosystem. So shout out to you guys for that first and foremost. So yeah, definitely just want to say thank you to everybody else that has integrated with .hl. That's amazing. And everybody that's rocking a .hl on the timeline, on Twitter, on every other social out there, Farcaster, Lens, everything. Yeah, it's been amazing to see all of that, and seeing new people that are doing it regularly. It's been pretty cool. So yeah, thank you to everybody there. And yeah, just all the applications that have integrated and continue to integrate, and people that are looking to integrate. If you are looking to integrate, please reach out to us. We try and keep our Twitter DMs open. So yeah, at HL Names, hit us up there on X. We're generally trying to get back to people where we can. And then if you reach out to me as well, 0x Tangle on X. Find me there. Happy to try and put you in, get you set up with what you need. Our builder docs are, pretty straightforward. Like I said, there's people that have just already integrated. We hear about them afterwards. It's like posts. They're like, oh, we've already integrated. So what happens now? So yeah, with that, if you are integrating, we're always happy to, we put you on our ecosystem page, which is now made up of about 40 different applications already. We're, constantly upgrading or updating that with new integrations. And then we do cross promotion here on X as well to try and amplify and just help keep growing the Hyperliquid ecosystem, and doing what we can to share with our communities and, with each other's communities. So yeah, just and shout out to our team as well. Constantly trying to keep pushing forward and making this as best of a product as we can. We're always open to feedback and want to just keep pushing this forward for the community. So yeah, thanks guys.
Thank you so much for hopping on board, and I can vouch for your team and your devs as well, because it was just so easy to integrate, and we loved the experience as well. And for a dev, that's literally all we care about. Like, how easy is it to integrate, and what other dev tools do I need to use here? So yeah, shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for coming on board. And yeah, if anybody's building with HL names or HL in general, it's a no-brainer for you to add the .hl name resolver to your code base, no matter what you're making. Come on, just do it at this point.
Beautiful.
So with that said, thank you so much for everybody for joining. Thank you so much, Tangle, for coming on board. This was absolutely amazing. We'll obviously be sharing more clips about this throughout the week. And I wish you a very, very happy Friday and a very good weekend coming on board as well. So have a good day,
Awesome.
and I'll see you
Same to
soon.
everybody else. See you guys. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, that was really fun.